Hello, and welcome to another episode of Insights. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16-hospital system and creator of This Week in Health IT, a channel dedicated to keeping health IT staff current and engaged. Our hope is that these episodes serve as a resource for the advancement of your career and the continued success of your team. Now, on to the show.
Today on Insights, we go back to a conversation host Bill Russell had with Judy Kirby, CEO of the recruitment company Kirby Partners. The topic of discussion was interview pro tips to land your dream CIO role. And Bill asks Judy, what do executives need to do to prepare, and how can they calm their nerves?
Is there something like research that you tell people to do or to prepare? Do you tell them to, do you tell them to do practice interviews? What do you generally coach people to do?
We coach them a lot when we're working with them, either as a candidate or a coaching client, because the video interview can either make it or break it for you. And now video interviews have become the norm, and very few people have experience to really do those well. Everything from, and I know I commented on your amazing background, to some people having clutter, to some people having animals jump up on the desk in front of them. It all comes down to you've got to do your research, both on how to do an interview well and on the organization, on the position. You've got to make sure that you can highlight in your background what they want to hear, but you also have to practice a video interview. You have to make sure that you can connect to the platform they're using, that your bandwidth is enough that it's not going to hang up. These things are so important. And as you and I were talking about, first impressions. And if you're late because you couldn't get your video working and you're in technology, that speaks volumes. So you really want to practice with somebody, record yourself, look at it, look for tells, look for ticks, look for your background. Preparation is absolutely the key to success for video interviews.
Any mistakes that people make in interviews?
Oh, the number is so great.
Okay. Should I just tell my stories of the mistakes I've made in interviews?
I think the number one mistake, Bill, that I hear is people not being succinct. And somebody will say, tell me about your career. And what you want to do is you had that elevator pitch. You want to be able to tell a very short elevator pitch in about 2 minutes. We've had people who've rambled on for 15 minutes, starting back when they were born in a log cabin in Illinois, rather than being able to articulate the value of what their career has gotten them to this point that'll benefit the organization. Because the organization is looking for the benefit you're going to bring, and you've got to be able to articulate that benefit, as we talked about, through stories. And you can normally figure out what questions are going to be asked. You've interviewed enough people, you've been interviewed enough over your career. You can prepare by thinking through, what would I ask me if I were interviewing me for this position? And then think about the stories that you want to tell along those lines. That's the key part.
Yeah, and you're my best friend. If you're the executive search firm that's bringing me in, you're my best friend, because you're gonna say, hey, look, here are the people you're interviewing with. The reason they're going out to search is because they're replacing a 20-year CIO, or they're replacing somebody who had to move on because of a challenge that they were facing. You're going to give me all sorts of clues. You want me to be successful in the interview, so you're going to coach me as I go in. And I assume that people really take advantage of that going into those interviews.
Absolutely, they do. And we want to help you be the best you can be during that interview. But it's amazing. You get into this interview and you get nervous because you haven't done it. And everything that we have suggested you do goes out the window. And we were doing a CIO search for Sharp, and we got to sit in on all the first rounds of interviews. And it was amazing to really sit in and watch these and see where we had coached people, where they'd listened, and where we should have coached them more because of what came out during the interviews. So I think it's just really listening and helping individuals be the best they can be.
I want to thank Tracy for another great episode. If you have feedback regarding the content and materials that you just heard and would like to help us to amplify great thinking to propel healthcare forward, Please send us a note at hello@thisweekinhealthit.com. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.